lesson without further ado. Hold on, there's still some students coming in. All right, so this is what I'm going to discuss today. Okay, hold on, a lot of students coming in. Okay, so intensive course from 4 chapter 10. I hope you guys can follow through my course all this while, which from my chapter 2 all the way until now is already chapter 10. So this is considered the longest chapter in Form 4, actually, to be honest. It's the longest chapter in Form 4, but it's actually not difficult for us to understand the syllabus. It's actually quite easy as well. So it's long, but it's quite predictable, the questions. So this chapter is about transports. In Bahasa Melayu is pengangkutan. Now we're dealing mainly with two systems over here. One is actually our blood circulatory system peredaran darah. Another one we're actually dealing with the lymphatic system or the system lympha. For the blood circulatory system, you are required to know about the human blood circulatory system as well as the animal's blood circulatory system. Okay, so this is like a general overview of this chapter. So the first part, of course, we're going to talk about BCS or SPD, Bahasa Melayu. This is the blood circulatory system. When we talk about blood circulatory system, the first thing that you must understand is the components first. You can have a look at my notes, okay? If you have already downloaded my notes, you look at my notes, there's an intensive notes where I handwritten the chart, so you don't have to busy copy that. You just have to look at my chart, okay, and fill out whatever things that you feel like needs to be filled out during our course, okay? So you don't have to draw the whole thing again because it's already written in the page. If you know what I'm talking about, I think it's about page 4 or page 5 where I have handwritten the table, okay? So anyhow, okay, we look at the components first for the blood circulatory system, okay? So the blood circulatory system is relatively straightforward because there are only 3 components in it, okay? So we have the blood, okay? We have the, if you talk about the blood, the first component, which is the blood, if you explore the blood, basically there are only 2 main components in the blood. So we talk about the blood plasma as well as the blood cells. So later on we'll go more details in this, okay? So the blood, which consists of the blood plasma and the blood cells. Second component is basically the blood vessels, which can be divided broadly into 2, your artery, okay, as well as your vein. This is the major exam questions. But of course, you need to know in between them, we have the blood capillaries, and in between the blood capillaries and the artery, you have the arteriole, and in between the blood capillary and the vein, you will have your venule. So these are the components of the blood vessels that students need to know. The last component is basically the heart. So blood circulatory system is just about these 3 components. So it's relatively straightforward, okay? So we look at the first component, which is the blood first. So we look at the blood, part 1, this is the blood, okay? So we look at the blood, okay? Again, we divide it according to the components, okay? The mind map. The blood, like what I've shown you in the previous slide, has only 2 components in it, okay? It's just like your milk tea, okay? You have your condiments and you have the watery part. So for the blood, the watery part is called the plasma, okay? And the condiments are called the cells. So inside this blood plasma, majority of it is actually water. I would say more than 90%, okay? More than 90% of it is actually water. And the remaining substances are what we call as the plasma proteins or the dissolved substances, all right? So we talk about the plasma proteins and the dissolved substances. What are the examples? You need to know, okay? Plasma proteins, we're mostly focusing on the blood clotting proteins in your syllabus, which are the thrombin and the fibrinogen. These 2 you must know, okay? Because later we are going to talk about this in the pembekuan darah or the blood clotting. So these 2 you must know, okay? Albumin, albumin is something that you need to understand because it might not be asked in your exam. It's just something that helps to maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood. Maksudnya, kalau you masih ingat, okay, in our plasma kita ada tekanan osmosis. Maksudnya, you cannot be too hypertonic or too hypotonic. Kalau terlalu hypertonic, okay, the blood is too hypertonic, then the water will come out of the red blood cells, then crinacea will happen, isn't it? So this albumin, they add the solute in the plasma so that it maintains the normal osmotic pressure of the blood, so that there's no extra water going in or out of the blood cells, okay? So that's about it that you need to know. Hormones, some books, okay, they might extract this out. They don't consider this as plasma protein, which is somehow true because hormones can be protein. They also can be lipid. There are 2 types. Hormone can be protein ataupun steroid. Okay, macam progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, all those are steroid hormones. So literally, we cannot consider hormone as a plasma protein. But just to be simple, because majority of the hormones are actually proteins, so I just put it under here for simplification purpose. Okay, hormone is something that we will study deeply under chapter 12. Okay, so I'm not going to go into hormones at this point. So dissolved substances basically will be like your dissolved oxygen, dissolved carbon dioxide, and that's about it. Okay, so the water part of it makes up 90% of the plasma, and these 2 make up the remaining 10% of the plasma. So it's relatively simple. So this part, I don't think there's any questions that they will ask you. Maybe it's just a chart asks you to fill in what are those. So it's pretty simple. Majority of the questions come from the blood cells. Okay, so in order for the blood cells, you need to know that we have 3 types of blood cells. Okay, we have the erythrocyte, ataupun kita panggil sebagai sel darah merah. Okay, we have the white blood cell and platelet. But if we talk about the erythrocyte, of course, function, we have talked about it many times, especially in the previous chapter of chapter 8. We talked about it also. Dia punya fungsi adalah untuk mengangkut oksigen. Okay, so all these things I don't have to go into details about. You sudah tahu punya. Okay, I don't have to waste my time or waste your time to go through it again. So satu benda yang you must know is that maybe the adaptations. Okay, so what's the adaptations of erythrocyte? This one sometimes mungkin dia akan tanya dalam structured questions. Okay, so you need to understand that dia ada biconcave disc shape. Okay, dan dia tak ada nucleus. So why is this important? Alright, why is this important? Of course, it's still our main thing. In Bahasa English, is the TSA over V, isn't it? Total surface area over volume ratio. In Bahasa Melayu, it's called JLP over I, which is your jumlah luas permukaan per isi padu. Okay, so when you increase this thing, I don't want to go through it again because I've explained this before, so I don't want to go through this again. When they are biconcave shape and no nucleus, basically you're increasing the surface area, and by doing so, you are trying to increase the efficacy to transport more oxygens. So this is something that is pretty important that I think students need to know. But this is quite easy. It's not something that you study from 5 or from 4. Maybe in your primary school also you should know already. Okay. So nothing much about erythrocyte. Later I'll show you pictures. I will tell you more about it. So another thing about blood cells that you must know is leukocyte. I think out of all these 3, the most important one will be leukocyte because a lot of students, they don't know how to understand it. So later I'll try to make it quite simple for you. So the function of the leukocyte ataupun sel darah putih, white blood cell, is to fight infections or fight pathogens. Okay, we'll go through this later. The last one is actually platelet. Platelet, we look at it in the later part, which is the blood clotting part. You need to understand that basically platelet is for blood clotting ataupun pembekuan darah. So leukocyte, the function function is just to melawan pathogen. So it's a pretty straightforward kind of thing. Okay. So far, are you okay? Okay, we treat it as a recap. All right, we treat it as a recap. These are things that you should already know already. Okay, I haven't go to something that is more tough. Okay, these are all just basic. We go from something easy to more difficult later. Kalau ada apa soalan, you can straight away ask me in the chat box. Okay, I'll answer you. So far, so good. Are you okay? So if you look at this picture, it's just summarize what I told you just now. If you look at the whole blood, okay, if you look at the whole blood, about 55% is actually plasma. Okay, if you look at the whole blood, 55% of it is actually plasma. Your red blood cells is the remaining 45%, and your white blood cells and platelets, they actually make up less than 1%. Okay, so you must understand that out of this 55%, okay, that means if I look at the plasma only, kalau saya hanya tengok plasma, actually 90% of it is what? Can you write in the chat box? I want to see whether you pay attention to me or not. 90% of plasma is actually water, isn't it? Okay, and the remaining 10%, I can say is solute lah. Okay, and this solute basically, it can be anything. It can be hormone, betul tak? Okay, it can be dissolved substances macam oxygen, carbon dioxide. It can be things like, for example, your plasma proteins. So you kena ingat benda tu. Plasma protein bukan protein on the plasma membrane. They are protein in the blood plasma. Okay, so your PP, plasma protein. Okay. So this is basically wrapping up what it means. So the next picture here is showing you a structure of a red blood cell, which I believe you all should know already. So this is the bentuk chakra dwi cekung lah, basically what we call as a biconcave disc shape. Just some extra information that you perhaps already know. Red blood cell, the lifespan is for 120 days, which is about 4 months duration. They can live about 4 months time, and they are basically produced by the sumsum tulang or the bone marrow. So the place they are produced is the bone marrow ataupun sumsum tulang in bahasa Melayu, and later on they will be destroyed. They will be destroyed in the spleen ataupun limpa. Okay, spleen in bahasa Melayu is limpa, L-I-M-P-A. Okay, so this is something you must know. This is the way it produced. This is where it's destroyed. This is how long it can last. Okay, just some general info. So you should know the adaptation for the red blood cell. It has no nucleus. You need to understand red blood cell, before they become red blood cell, okay, what we call as the stem cell in the bone marrow, okay, dia ada nucleus. Hanya the mature form of red blood cell tak ada nucleus. Are you getting me? Okay, so sebelum you menjadi sel darah merah, sebenarnya dalam proses tu dia ada banyak jenis sel that you don't study at your level, but there are many cells, and those have nucleus. So just as some of you ask me why the frog's red blood cell have nucleus, I'm not sure about it, whether it has nucleus or not, but red blood cell in the beginning, before they become mature, they will have red blood cells. Okay, so it's a differentiation process. Now, benda ini, this is showing you the platelet, this is a platelet, this is a platelet. Okay, so platelet also sama, dia tak ada nucleus, tapi dia punya lifespan is much shorter, it's only about 1 week, about 7 days dia punya lifespan. Okay, so dia punya fungsi adalah untuk pembekuan darah or blood clotting. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward, and I believe no students will have problems. So sekarang kita akan fokus kepada something that I believe is the most important one, which is the leukocyte ataupun white blood cell. White blood cell ni, dia punya fungsi utama, the main function is to fight infections ataupun untuk mempertahankan diri lah, our defense system. But you must remember that the types is important. Leukocyte ni, generally, how many types do we have? Can you tell me in the chat box? I want to see your. Don't read any books. Buku teks tu not important. How many types are there? Yes, you're right. Not 5 types. It's 2 types. So kita boleh divide dia kepada 2 dulu, which are the granulocyte dengan agranulocyte. So kalau we look at the granulocyte first, okay, apakah maksud dia granulocyte? Granulocyte dia actually ada 2 maksud lah. Satu, dia actually ada granules. Dia ada granules. Okay, in bahasa Melayu is granule lah. Tak ada E lah. Dia ada granule. Number 2, they actually have what we call as loop nuclei. Loop nuclei in bahasa Melayu is called nucleus berkuping. Okay, what is the meaning? This is actually, I would say, the second characteristic is more typical for granulocyte. Later I'll show you the picture. What's the meaning of loop nuclei? Okay, but whatever granulocyte, dia akan end with the word "phil." So kita ada neutrophil, basophil dengan eosinophil. Alright, but we talk about neutrophil first. Neutrophil adalah white blood cell yang paling penting dalam kita punya badan. It's the one that is most abundant one. We have a lot of this in the body. The most abundant white blood cell is neutrophil. So neutrophil ni, dia punya fungsi macam amoeba. It's like a Pac-Man. So to make things very simple, sebab kita akan belajar benda ini in the next chapter, which is chapter 11. So I'm not going to go in details right now, but just generally tell you the main function. Dia adalah phagocyte. Okay, that engulfs and digests pathogens through phagocytosis. So you need to learn how to write the keyword. Okay, phagocyte is the type of white blood cell that perform phagocytosis. So all these keywords you must have in your syllabus. Phagocyte, phagocytosis, dia punya tindakan, the action is actually engulf and digest. So this is the word that you must remember lah. Engulf is an action of surrounding the food and eventually they digest with lysozyme. Okay, so this is the function of neutrophil. Eosinophil and basophil, they are relatively not so famous in your exam, but you need to at least know a bit about them. Eosinophil is important in allergy reaction. Dia mencetuskan tindak balas allergy, okay, and they also have to fight parasite. That's the function of eosinophil. Basophil is more, I follow your syllabus, okay, because in reality, sebenarnya basophil juga boleh untuk tindak balas allergy for basophil, okay, but at your syllabus, they say they can prevent blood clotting, sebab dalam tu dia ada heparin, okay, heparin. Okay, what's the meaning? You see, kalau kita punya darah exposed to the air, it straight away will become clotted, isn't it? Tapi when it's our blood, it circulates like a fluid. It's because inside our blood we have a bit of this heparin yang menentang blood clotting lah. So basically, if you have this, you can prevent your blood from clotting inside your blood vessel. Okay, these two are quite rarely asked in exam, so you have to focus only on neutrophil. Kalau you tanya saya lah, neutrophil ni yang paling penting. So you need to know how they look like. Generally, neutrophil dia punya bentuk ada 3 hingga 5 nucleus bercuping. I will show you what does it mean. 3 to 5 loop nuclei neutrophil. Eosinophil dia actually ada 2 loop. Basophil dia S-shaped nucleus. Later I'll show you. Okay. So on the other hand, kita ada agranulocyte. So apakah agranulocyte? Agranulocyte maksudnya, whenever in biology, you tengok ada A, maksudnya tidak. Okay? So it's the totally opposite of granulocyte. Maksudnya dia tak ada granule dan dia tak ada loop nuclei. On the other hand, it means the nucleus is a normal nucleus. Dia punya nucleus macam nucleus biasa. So under here we got 2. Whatever agranulocyte, dia end with the word cyte. So kita ada lymphocyte dengan monocyte. Okay? So the most smartest white blood cell in the body is the lymphocyte. Lymphocyte ni dia yang paling smart. Okay? But they are not the most in the blood. Okay? The most in the blood is neutrophil. Tapi lymphocyte ni sangat penting juga sebab dia adalah kita punya sistem pertahanan, barisan pertahanan ketiga, which is third line of defense. Okay? Lymphocyte is the third line of defense sebab I always tell my students, the smart people, okay, the smart people always kill others not by their own hand. Am I right? If you kill someone using your own hand, you're stupid. Macam neutrophil is stupid sebab dia buat the job himself. But lymphocyte is not. Dia menghasilkan antibody. So this is something like in Chinese we say 接刀杀人. They produce something that can kill the pathogens. Okay? So monocyte ni dia punya fungsi 100% macam neutrophil. So you can see I copy the whole thing. It's a phagocyte that engraft and digests pathogen through phagocytosis. Tetapi what important about monocyte is that monocyte ni apabila dia keluar daripada salur darah, they will become the Hulk. It's called macrophage. So dia punya size akan jadi besar apabila dia keluar daripada salur darah untuk menentang pathogen. So that is something that's a bit special about monocyte, but it's not really important in your syllabus per se. Tai Chi say, why need to prevent blood clotting? This prevent blood clotting is not when you are bleeding. It's when you are not bleeding. Like right now, why your blood is not clotted inside your blood? I ask you this simple question, Tai Chi. Why is your blood not clotting inside your blood? Can you answer me? Supposedly, blood should clot if you're exposed. Kenapa dia tak clot? So that's the reason lah. Okay? Alright, so that is something that is in your syllabus. Tapi basophil ni, sebenarnya dia punya main function pun sama macam eosinophil to help in allergy reaction. Okay? So you need to understand leukocyte ni, dia actually, all the leukocyte, I don't care what kind of leukocyte are they, generally they have irregular shape. Okay? They have irregular shape, ataupun kita panggil sebagai bentuk yang tidak tetap. Betul tak? Bentuk yang tidak tetap. And this is very important sebab they need to squeeze out of the blood capillaries to fight infections. Kalau dia ada bentuk tetap, it will be difficult for them to go out of the blood vessel. So their shape is all irregular shape. Jadi dia boleh squeeze out, okay, untuk menentang pathogen. So that's something that you must remember. All the leukocyte, the shape is irregular. What differentiate them is the shape of the nucleus. I repeat, what differentiate them is the shape of the nucleus. Okay? Ada persoalan at this point? Are you okay? Are you following me? I'm showing you the picture right now. I'm showing you the picture at the moment. Okay? So this is the picture that normally we see from the we see from the microscope lah. Okay, I tell you the important one first. This and this are important. Okay, neutrophil, monocyte, lymphocyte is important. But just a summary for you. Okay, tiga benda ni all together we call them as what? What do we call these three things? Nama dia adalah granulocyte. Okay, these are the granulocyte. Okay, sebab apa? Can you see all this dot? This dot is all granule lah. These are all granule. These are all granule which you cannot see in the A granulocyte. This is A granulocyte. Okay, the second thing is that you see the nucleus is loop. Okay, this is what we call loop nucleus. Now I'll teach you how we see neutrophil especially. Neutrophil ni dia ada 3 to 5 loop nuclei. 3 to 5 loop nuclei. So it means that this is satu loop lah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the neutrophil. Faham? Eosinophil biasanya dia ada 2 loop, which is 1, 2. Okay, eosinophil has 2 loop. And then kalau you are a smart student, if you're a smart student, you need to understand what's the meaning of the word field. What's the meaning of the word field in biology? Field ni maksudnya apa? Field is what? Field is what? Field is love. Macam kita pernah study hydrophilic, faham tak? In chapter 3. Hydrophilic, hydrophobic, faham tak? So field means love. Dear love leucine. What is leucine? If you are a smart student in chapter form 5, you need to know we have studied something called leucine. Leucine is actually a pink color solution. Kalian masih ingat leucine? We use it to study xylem. Dia ada satu eksperimen kita letak batang tu dalam leucine solution, and then lepas tu kami potong and then we see which part stain pink. So itu solution yang kita pakai tu is leucine. So kenapa kita panggil ni sebagai eosinophil? Sebab dia adalah the only one to pick up leucine. That's why it looks pink. Can you see? This is higher level lah. Okay, if you become like a doctor, you need to know how we see. Basically, it's pink. Sebab eosinophil dan basophil susah nak differentiate. Okay, so basophil they pick up bases lah. Neutrophil they are neutral lah. So that's how we differentiate them. Is what kind of thing they pick up. So you see the color. This is blue. Bases basophil. Eosinophil pink. Neutrophil neutral. Okay, so that is higher level of understanding. But at your syllabus, I don't make it so difficult. If you see 3 to 5 loops, that is already neutrophil. 2 loop is eosinophil. If you see they are like more stick together, like this one is not very clear lah, but supposed to be like S-shaped nucleus, then that is basophil. Okay, but it's a bit difficult to differentiate these two. Now, lymphocyte and monocyte, I told you how to remember them. Very easy. Lymphocyte and monocyte, which one is the smarter white blood cell? Lymphocyte or monocyte? Which one is the smarter white blood cell? It's the lymphocyte, am I right? Okay. In Cantonese, I teach you some Cantonese. If you don't know Cantonese, I'm a Canton, right? So I study Cantonese. So in us, we have a word called mono. When people call you mono, means what? Who knows Cantonese here? Who knows Cantonese? Okay. If you know Cantonese, mono means stupid lah. So it shows that monocyte is a bit stupid. So to me, if you are smart like lymphocyte, you should be a whole circle. This is what I call a smart, perfect, moon-shaped circle. So if you're mono, you have defect, bean-shaped nucleus. This is how I remember until now. Okay, so just now some of you asked me how to differentiate monocyte and lymphocyte. That's how we do it. Lymphocyte is a whole round central nucleus. Monocyte is a bean-shaped nucleus. Okay, because mono also got defect in the nucleus, so it's not totally round. It's a bit defected. Neutrophil is loop nuclei. So did I answer your question? Okay, so basically that's how we differentiate the white blood cells in exam. If you want to become an A+ student, you need to stand out from the rest of your peers. How you do it is sometimes in chapter 2 or what they'll give up these kind of pictures. So they ask you what cell is that. So if you say it's white blood cell, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But if you can tell specifically what white blood cell is that, then you are definitely very good. Okay, right. So this is our white blood cell. Any questions about white blood cell? Want to ask me? Is that everything? So we have what is the difference between loop and normal nucleus? Can't you see the difference? Loop is separated. You can see this is loop. Do you think this looks normal? Do you think this nucleus looks normal? No difference in terms of function. Is this a shape? Okay, so we have done about blood. Any question regarding blood you want to ask me? Any question regarding blood you want to ask me? Any question regarding blood you guys want to ask me? Everything okay for blood? Anything? Okay, so just a very quick summary. All right, just a very quick summary. Blood. Okay, blood. We have the plasma and the cell. Plasma, you have water and dissolved. Okay, your what do you call that? Your cell have 3: white blood cell, red blood cell, platelet. White blood cell is the most important one because this is something that you haven't studied before. Okay, for Sachif, how many loop nuclei? Basically, it's something like 2, but they're more like S-shaped, not like eosinophil separated. This picture you cannot really see it lah. Okay, so we go on to the part 2. Okay, we go on to the part 2, which are the blood vessels. Okay, we go to blood 2, which is blood vessels. So this chapter, okay, for this part, I want you to go to my first essay question. Can you please go to my first essay question? Okay, if you go to my first essay question in notes, okay, basically that question came out a few years back as an SPM question. So The way to answer it basically is to answer the difference between artery and vein. Generally for this, okay, they will ask you majority of the questions will differentiate artery and vein. Blood capillaries, takkan ditanya lah. No one will ask you about blood capillaries one. You just have to know that blood capillaries is some one cell thick stuff lah. Okay, cuma kena ingat, capillaries and artery, di antara dia we have what we call arterial. Okay, so in between the capillaries and the vein, we have something called the venule. So itu penting sebab bila kita belajar system limfa or the lymphatic system, we talk about this again. Okay, so now we focus on artery and vein. Okay, so most of the time exam will ask you about differences. So you must know the differences, okay, between artery and vein. What's the major difference between them? What's the major difference between them? I tell you many times already. Artery and vein, apakah dia punya difference yang paling penting? Paling penting is size of lumen. Are you sure? Paling penting carry what blood? No. Paling penting is the direction of blood flow. Direction of blood flow is the most important thing. Okay? Actually, dalam gambar ini, dia cakap artery carries oxygenated blood. Is this entirely true? It's not entirely true. Sebab kami ada vena dengan artery pulmonary, which does the opposite. So, of course, majority carries oxygenated blood, but what we use to determine it is actually the direction of blood flow. Artery, when you see the word A, you think of the word away. Okay, so artery, A stands for away. Maksudnya, dia actually bawa darah keluar jantung. That's why you see from here, the direction they say is blood flow from the heart. So it's away from the heart. So if this is your heart, for example, you bring it away, then this is an artery. Okay, and opposite, the vein carries blood towards the heart. That's number one. The number one thing you need to tell me is the direction. Direction. So that's why I ask you, pulmonary artery carries blood away or towards the heart, guys? Pulmonary artery carries blood away or towards the heart? Away. Away. So away from the heart, but to where? To the lungs. So that must be deoxygenated blood. Because away from the heart towards the lung for oxygenation, isn't it? So it's direction. That's number one. Okay, number one is direction. Number two, you look at these two pictures, you can tell me, this is baru your lumen. I call this as 3 in 1. Apa tu 3 in 1? Number one, you look at the size of the lumen. Artery punya lumen, besar atau kecil? Artery punya lumen. Of course, it's very kecil. So maksudnya it's a small lumen. So you can see the size of lumen, compare the size of lumen. So this is a small lumen. Okay. Number two, we look at the, kalau dia punya lumen is kecil, maksudnya dia punya dinding is more muscular and thick or thin. You can see, this is something very obvious. If you have small lumen, your wall is thick. If you have big lumen, your wall is thin. Can you see? So there's another thing I tell you. So this is a buy one, free one. We talk about the wall. So this one have a thick wall. Betul. And number three is the pressure inside the vessel. Based on physics, P equals to F over A. So kalau you punya area reduce, like what we see in the lumen dia kecil kan. So area dia sikit, pressure is high. So inside the artery, dia punya pressure is higher. So this is what I call as 3 in 1. 3 in 1. Small lumen, thick wall, large pressure. So it's continuous one. In your brain, your thinking process should be continuous. Okay, do you get me? So then the next thing is, you need to understand, vein is very low pressure. In the vein, the pressure is very low. There are two reasons why the pressure is low in the vein. Number one, sebab dia sangat jauh dari jantung. The vein is very far from the heart. Understand? So when the heart pumps, imagine this is the heart. Okay, they bring the blood towards the heart. So when the heart pumps, okay, the blood will come out from the aorta. So it's very far from the heart. So sebenarnya the vein, they don't get any force from the heart. Okay, that's number one, why the pressure is low. Number two, because the lumen is big, so the area is huge. That's why the pressure is low. Jadi, in the vein, we must have something to prevent the blood from flowing backwards, and that is what we call as the waf ataupun injak. Okay, so in the vein, they will be having injak ataupun waf to allow one direction flow of the blood. Tapi some students ask me, does it mean that artery don't have? Artery, only two artery in the body has waf, which is the pulmonary artery dengan aorta. Only at the heart, in the heart. Later I'll show you. That's the semi-lunar waf. Okay, so the artery mostly carries oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. So itulah. So kalau you nak buat dia punya difference in your head, you kena visualize benda ini dulu. So biology sangat penting dalam biology is visualization. So from this picture it tells you everything. Okay, so I just give you my point so that you guys can actually see it, but you don't have to busy copy it down. It's one of the essay question. Okay, so I told you the direction, the wall, the lumen, the pressure, the waf, and the content. Content is the last. I never put content as the beginning. Okay, so for this part, blood vessel, most importantly is still AVV, which means artery versus vein. This is a type of question that will come in exam. Hey. Yeah, so this is artery. This is all about artery. Alright, kalau dia tanya vein ataupun vena, alright, the whole thing is opposite lah. The whole thing is opposite. This whole thing is regarding artery. This whole thing is regarding artery. I lazy to type out vein again, so if you ask about vein, everything here terbalik. Questions regarding blood vessel? If you have question, type 1 in chat box, let me know. Ada soalan tak nak tanya? Ada soalan nak tanya? Part 2, blood vessel. Questions? Boleh ikut. Okay, if no question, type 1 in chat box, let me know. I'll go on the next part. I don't go too fast that you get nothing at the end of the day. It's quite pointless. Okay, so only 2 students understand Yingmin and also, okay, alright. Okay, so that's great. Cancel it. Move on. So we go to part 3. Part 3 is the heart. Heart is a simple organ but difficult actually. It's not, if you want to really study it higher level, it's not easy. But anyhow, we are going to fill in the blanks. Okay, we go clockwise. Okay, this picture is in your notes as well. Okay, so please get your notes and then you can see you have this picture as well. Okay, so we'll go through it again. So this is something that is pretty simple. I don't want to be too basic. So I hope you know this is aorta. Am I right? This is aorta. It connects to the left ventricle. So this is aorta. All right. This one over here is connected to your right ventricle. So this is going to your lungs. This is pulmonary artery. Okay, so this one, you must remember, upper chambers are atria. So this is your left atrium. Okay, this one is coming in from the lungs, going back to the left atrium. So this is pulmonary vein. All right, lepas tu, this one, the big room, the most muscular chamber in the heart, is to pump blood to all parts of the body, and this is the left ventricle. So you kena faham benda yang simple. Okay, benda yang simple. Left side of the heart, okay, is basically carrying oxygenated blood, which is labeled red color here. Okay, blue is the oxygenated blood, ataupun darah ke oxygen in bahasa Melayu. So I know for you, this is your right hand, this is right side, but the person is facing you. So it's opposite to you, it's like a mirror image of you. So this is left side. So don't make this kind of stupid mistake, right ventricle here, then that means your standard is really, really not good lah. Okay, so this is left side. Next, this is your right ventricle. Okay, this is your tricuspid valve. Later I'll show you how to remember it. Okay, it's pretty simple. Tricuspid valve is actually between your right atrium and your right ventricle. So your vena cava is these two. Okay, we have a superior vena cava and an inferior vena cava. Basically, the inferior is to bring blood from lower part of the body, whatever below your heart. So this one is to bring blood from above your heart. Okay, so this one is the bicuspid valve. Sorry, this is a typo. Bicuspid valve. Okay, this one in between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and you can see there are two more valves inside. I told you that's why just now pulmonary artery, even though it's an artery, tapi dia ada valve, aorta, walaupun dia aorta, tapi dia ada valve, but the valve is only at the beginning. Along the way there is no more valve already. Kenapa aorta tak perlu valve? Dia hanya ada valve dekat permulaan saja. When you go further, there's no more valve. Kenapa? Sebab dia punya pressure is very high in the artery. Okay, aorta has very high pressure, so the blood will not backflow. Kalau pressure dia tinggi, dia tak akan backflow. Hanya dekat low pressure system, macam kita punya vein, this one is very low pressure, so darah akan pulang balik. Okay, so that's why we need valve in the vein but not in the artery. So these two is called the semilunar valve ataupun injap sabit in bahasa Melayu. You can be more specific. The one in the aorta, nama dia aortic valve. The one in the pulmonary artery, the nama is pulmonary valve. So Jockey say the bicuspid valve is also called mitral valve. You're right, but mitral is what we use in the medicine. So as the Form 4, Form 5 student, please don't use the word mitral in your syllabus because your teacher will not know. Your teacher only knows syllabus only, correct? So your teacher will not know. But for us, we use the word mitral. We don't use the word bicuspid. Okay, we use the word mitral valve in the hospital. Okay, all right. So are you guys okay with this? So now the next thing is how we want to know about this valve. Okay, how we want to remember. Yeah, you follow me through Form 4. I told you the mnemonic is lab rat. That is one Dr. Steven algorithm is lab rat. Apakah maksud lab rat? Okay, lab rat maksudnya, okay, kalau left side, in the pai lau su, in the lab we use the rat, isn't it? So left side is bicuspid. So left side is bicuspid. Right side is tricuspid. So this is tricuspid, this is bicuspid. So there's no more reason for you not remembering that. Ataupun terbalik. Sebab valve boleh tanya dalam soalan. I've seen this came out last year, one of the trials. They asked about valve. And then, bila dia focus on valve, dia tanya valve, you kena smart. Valve punya function is to prevent backflow of blood. Everyone know. Correct not? Okay? But you need to be specific. Kalau dia tanya, what is the function of bicuspid valve? Contoh lah, apakah fungsi injap bicuspid? So you need to know the exact direction. Maksudnya, in the heart, okay, biasanya the blood will flow down. Agree with me? The blood will flow down from the atrium to the ventricle. So when the ventricle contract, we don't want the blood to go back up. So that's why you need to be very specific. The function of the bicuspid valve is to prevent the backflow of darah ini is oxygenated blood. So to prevent the backflow of oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to the left atrium. So you kena jadi lebih specific. Jangan when they ask you what's the function of bicuspid valve, prevent backflow. Then you tak dapat Don't blame the teacher. Sebab dia tak cukup specific. All the valve in this world is to prevent backflow, but the direction is what makes it different. So maksudnya apabila ventricle contract, injak ni akan tutup supaya darah tidak patah balik ke atrium. Okay, so this is about labeling. Is there any question regarding labeling that you guys want to ask me? Is there any question that you want to ask me regarding labeling? So this is something very straightforward. I don't think you've got any issue. Okay, should be no issue. So the whole direction of blood, they go in, go out, go out. Okay? Leaflet, bicuspid one not important lah. At this point, you don't think about all that thing first. You want to become a doctor, the time only you study. Leaflet means, okay, you know why they call tricuspid and bicuspid or not? You know why are they called as bicuspid? What's the meaning of the word cuspid? What's the meaning of this cuspid? Okay? It's the leaflets. Maksudnya, what is a leaflet? I always tell my students about a game that we play when we are young. When we are young, we used to fold the paper into something like, a fold, we can open up like that and then we write things at the side. We open up the thing and then we see, what you get something like that. You know the paper game, we can fold it up and then into that, we can open up and close that thing. Have you ever seen that thing before? I don't know what is the name of that thing. Okay, so that thing has how many sides? If you know what I'm talking about, how many sides it has? 4 sides. 4 sides. Yeah, in Chinese it's 东南西北, remember? Okay, 4 sides. Okay, each of that side in English, in terms of biology, is called a leaflet. It's called a leaflet. So tricuspid valve, the appearance is like that paper thing, but it has 3 leaflets. Bicuspid, it has 2. Your semilunar, their shape is like half moon. So that's how the name comes about, if you really want to know. Okay, but I really don't think this is something that is really matter in your syllabus per se. Okay, that's why I don't want to, if you come to my normal Form 4 lesson, normally I will teach all this. Okay, but in Form 5 intensive class, I'll just tell you what I think is important. Okay. So next we'll move on to the next part, which is your cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle, first of all, is one of the 3 muscles in your syllabus. So we have the otot ranker, or we call as the skeletal muscles, and we have the otot licin, or we call as the smooth muscles, and this is cardiac muscle. I have told you all before, so please don't disappoint me. Tell me, how can I differentiate cardiac muscle with the other 2? Macam mana? Beza antara peperiksaan kalau dia tanya otot, how do you want to know this is cardiac or what? How do we see? Yes, very good. We look at the interconnection. Not smooth bubble. Okay, then what you say is not very correct. The so-called bubble that you say is actually the nucleus. Alright? Oh, it looks like bubble. Okay. Alright, fine. Okay. The key point in cardiac muscle is that it is interconnected. Nampak tak? Dia ada intersection. Macam dalam gambar ini, you can see there are 2 strands of muscle that connect together. So that is a typical appearance of cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle dia akan ada interconnection. Kalau you tengok otot ranker, they will be all straight. They will be parallel. They won't intersect. Okay? So this is the biggest point to see. Intercalated disc is already removed from your syllabus, so I don't want to make it difficult lah. So cardiac muscle ni, okay, the reason why they need to be interconnected is because when the heart contract and relax, dia boleh lebih coordinated. Okay? So what is important in cardiac muscle is, one thing that they like to ask in exam is the characteristic. Apa kita panggil sebagai myogenic, or myogenic in bahasa Melayu, it's called myogenic. So what's the meaning of myogenic? Whenever in biology or in medicine you see the word myo, what does it mean? What does this mean? This means muscle. Well, it's a prefix for muscle. Myo is a prefix for muscle. Genic, what does it mean? What does this mean? So you understand all this word in biology is all about this. Genic means generate. So maksudnya, cardiac muscles, dia boleh generate their own impulse. Itunya maksud myogenic. Maksudnya, dia boleh menghasilkan impulse electric sendiri, which means they don't need to receive any impulse from the central nervous system for them to contract and relax. Faham tak? Okay? Dia boleh contract and relax sendiri. Alright, so the definition is they can contract and relax without receiving impulse from the nervous system. Kenapa? Sebab dia punya otot cardiac boleh generate electric impulse sendiri. Remember, whatever impulse produced by the cardiac muscle, we don't call it as nerve impulse. Sebab cardiac is not a nerve. We use the word electric impulse. Other question, you want to ask me? Is everything okay? Okay, if any question, you just ask in the chat box. You can stop me anytime, I can answer you. So next part is regarding the electrical activity of the heart. If you want to talk about the electrical activity of the heart, the most important thing you must know is the wiring of the heart. Wire of the heart. Now, the heart is like a house. Okay, you have rooms. These are the chambers, the rooms. All the blood vessels are the water type. Okay, and in order for your house, the basic thing is you must have water and you must have electric. So this is another thing, the electric circuit. Of course, the most important thing of the heart is the perentak jantung, or we call it as the pacemaker, which is this thing called sinoatrial node. Okay, sinoatrial node ataupun SA node is what we call as the primary pacemaker, the perentak jantung. Okay, pacemaker. So the next thing is this. This is called atrioventricular node. Sebab dia punya lokasi di antara atria dengan ventricle. So it's called atrioventricular node ataupun AV node. Later I'll just make it simple. I call this as AV node. I'll call this as SA node. Okay, kenapa dia panggil sinoatrial? Ada maksud tak? Some students ask me. You say, people ask me, sir, you always tell me biology, the word got meaning. So sinoatrial got meaning or not? Atrioventricular, maksudnya the location is in between the atrium and the ventricle. That's why it's called AV. Okay, sinoatrial got meaning or not? Actually got. Atria maksudnya dia punya lokasi ada dekat right atrium. Atria. Sino comes from the word sinus. In medicine, sinus has a few meaning. One, it can be a hollow cavity, like in our skull, we have some sinus. Okay, that can be a sinus. Another word for sinus is a large vein. Any large vein is called sinus. Okay, like in the brain, there's a cavernous sinus. So sinus means a large vein. Vena cava is very close to this node, which is a large vein. So the word sinoatrial is the location of this. It's near to the large vein and it's in the right atrium. That's how the name comes about. Okay, sinoatrial node. So this is atrioventricular node. And if you look over here, we have some wiring system. Also, this is something that students feel difficult to understand. But in your syllabus, they make it very simple. We have bundle of His. Bundle of His is basically this thing. This is called bundle of His. Okay, then you have your bundle branches. This is bundle branches, but then you can just call this as bundle of His. No one will say it's wrong. Bundle of His. And then over here, this one over the ventricle, the one in the ventricle, this is called Purkinje fibers. Okay, so bundle of His, bekas His is this. This is a bundle of His. They're in the septum of the heart. By the way, just like I didn't label the word septum. Septum is this. This is the septum. Septum is the dinding that divides your heart into left and right part, which separates your oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. That is your septum. So this is your bekas His. Okay, this yellow color one, and this is your Purkinje fiber. Okay, so don't make things complicated. Only 4 things you know: SA node, AV node, bundle of His, Purkinje. Okay, so I proceed. His is the name of a human, the person who find this. Like Purkinje also is the name of a scientist. Apex of the heart is this. This is the apex of the heart. Apex means the tip. So this is the apex of the heart. Okay. Bundle is an English word lah. Bundle, it's not just one strand, it's a bundle. That's why later this bundle they divide into 2. This is the branches. Why this one? Never mind, it's okay. All right, I'll show you the previous photo. Okay, I show you the previous photo, which is this one. So the whole story is actually extremely easy. I would say it's actually really, really extremely easy. Let's see what it means by the heart contraction. Before we start, you must understand at your level, we only study two stages of the heart contraction. We make it very easy. Number one is the contraction of the atria. Okay, maksudnya left and right atria dia akan mengecut secara serentak. So basically your left and right atria they will contract simultaneously. This is step one. Okay, step two you need to discuss about the contraction of ventricle. Okay, which means after your atria contract, okay, your ventricle needs to contract and this is also simultaneous. Maksudnya atria contract, lepas tu ventricle contract. Two steps. In reality, it's many steps, but they cut it very simple for you all, only two steps. Atria contraction, ventricular contraction. So how are we going to go about it? We start with the first step first, contraction of atria. Kalau you nak, if you want anything to happen, okay, you must first have the electrical impulse to reach the place first. So the function of the sinoatrial node is actually to produce the electrical impulse. They produce the electrical impulse. Okay, so this electrical impulse, this is what we call as myogenic. Myogenic. So they produce the electrical impulse, and this impulse they need to first go to the wall of the atria. So they will spread. Okay, so after they spread to the whole wall of the atria akan mengecut, the atria contract. So when the atria contract, the blood will go down to the ventricle. This is step one. Easy enough. I repeat, SA node akan produce electric impulse. Lepas tu electric impulse akan merebak ke dinding atria. Lepas tu atria akan mengecut, darah akan mengalir ke ventricle. This is first step, which is what I meant over here, contraction of atria. Easy. So what is second step? Second step is now when the blood is already inside the ventricle, we need the ventricle to contract, so to pump the blood out of the heart. So this is second step. So how do we do it? To do ventricular contraction, the impulse, this white color impulse, they must reach the wall of the ventricle. So how can they move? Very simple. So they need to first go to the AV node first. The impulse need to go to the AV node. From the AV node, they go down the septum to the bundle of His. Go to the bundle of His. From the bundle of His, they reach the apex of the heart. Then they will go to the Purkinje fibers. They go to the Purkinje fibers. So it's very simple. All you have to say is where the impulse reach. So the impulse will reach the AV node. Then from there they go to the bundle of His. Then from there they go to Purkinje fibers. So when you go to Purkinje fiber, meaning you are already at the ventricle already. But Purkinje fibers is at the ventricle of the heart. Then your ventricle will contract. When your ventricle contract, the blood will flow out of the ventricle to your lungs and to all your body cells. Tu je. Sangat senang. I don't understand why students always say it's difficult. Now this essay, I put it in your essay question 2. Kalau tengok saya punya essay question 2, I will give you one K-part question. They ask about electrical pacemaker. Nampak tak ada satu soalan electrical pacemaker? Okay. Systole and diastole is not your level, so don't confuse yourself. No need. Whatever I say in this class, you do. That's all. Okay. Systole and diastole is no longer in your syllabus. So you just see over here. This is basically I just write again the whole thing for you to see. Generally is what I meant just now. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. Pacemaker is the thing, it's the SA node, AV node that generate electric impulse. Pacemaker. They create the pace. So in my essay, second question, I give you a K-bar, but the K-bar question is very easy lah. They ask you what's the function of the artificial pacemaker. So the function of the artificial pacemaker is to replace the function of SA node lah. So SA node and the pacemaker do the same thing. So why are you going to confuse yourself? So if you know the essay, just write the whole thing, same only. You see this picture, you say, okay, Elroy, you see this picture, you think the impulse will reach the apex first or they will reach the Purkinje fiber first? Of course, it's the apex first lah. That's why your textbook is wrong, because the person who do the textbook also they don't understand. You understand or not? They also don't really understand. So they just write the whole thing, make it an essay. In reality, of course, you have to reach the apex, then only you radiate up to the Purkinje fibers lah. Lagi? Apa lagi soalan yang nak tanya? Cannot. In real exam, you kena tulis sinoatrial node. I said before, any short form, you write the full name first, you bracket SA node, lepas tu, the whole essay, you can use SA node. Tapi jangan straight away pakai SA node, you will not get the mark. You kena tulis the full word first. Here, because it's a note, so I just write in short form. Lagi? Any other questions? I post call today, very tired. Are you guys okay? Can, I hope I still have the energy, to go around. Do you all feel bored or anything? Hopefully not. We already passed 1 hour already. I hope everything is fine. Okay? Can understand? So now we go to a little bit more advanced question. Okay, these are the questions that I have seen before in the exam, but they seldom ask. But when they ask, we K-bar. Nowadays, you must remember your structured question. The last question is always K-bar. So they can ask you anything, and those questions supposedly they will expect you to know how to answer. So satu adalah what we call a septal defect. So we have all heard people saying that jantung berlubang. So actually, what is the meaning of jantung berlubang? Jantung berlubang means you have a hole in the septum sebenarnya, not at the dinding. It's at the septum. Okay, so dia boleh berlaku dekat atria ataupun ventricle. Tapi yang lebih common is VSD, or we call it ventricular septal defect. Maksudnya di antara dua ventricle tu dia ada satu lubang dekat situ. So why is it like that? Most common is congenital. Maksudnya you are born with it. Okay, it's a congenital. Maksudnya you're born with it. It's like an error when you're making your heart, isn't it? So this is VSD. So the important thing is what will happen if you have a septal defect? Apa yang akan berlaku? Can anyone tell me? What will happen if you have a septal defect? Okay, so you will say oxy and deoxygenated blood mix. This is majority of the students right. This is majority of the students right, and that's why you all cannot get A+ in exam. Of course they will mix, but how will they mix? That is important. So mix means what? So the blood will just mix up like that, or will they go from left to right or right to left, or they just mix? How? My question to you, left to right, or what? So it's left to right. It's left to right. Why left to right? So the question is actually to see, is a mixing. You are right, it's a mixing. But how is it mixing? It's left to right. Maksudnya, the darah, okay, basically will go from your left ventricle to your right ventricle. Kenapa? Okay, of course, this is what we call mixing. This is mixing already, isn't it? So left ventricle is oxygenated blood, right ventricle is deoxygenated blood. Sebab your left ventricle pressure is higher. pressure is higher. Your blood ventricle pressure is lower. Blood always go from higher to lower pressure. So this is what we call as a left to right shunt in medicine. Okay? Understand? So just be a bit careful when you're answering this question in exam. Okay? So I just share with you. Are you okay? Understand? All right? How do we solve this problem? It depends on the size of the defect. If it's very, very small, sometimes they might not need to close. If it's something that is impacting the person, causing problems like fainting, causing problems like causing problems like chest pain, difficult in breathing, then we might need to close it up. Okay. Next problem that is also very important in exam is myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction ataupun MI in bahasa Melayu is called peninfarkan myocardium. Okay. So what it literally means is myo means what? Myo means what? Baru say only, muscle. Cardio means what? Heart. So heart muscle. Infarction means what? You know, what's the meaning of the word infarction? Not farting. Infarct means dead. So if you translate the word to normal English, it means the heart muscle is dead. So how come the heart muscle is dead? The heart muscle is dead. So this is the picture. You can see from here, dying heart muscle. So this part is the dying heart muscle. So why is the heart dying? Sebab dia tak dapat the darah. So this one is very important. The thing is important here is that the heart, walaupun dia punya fungsi adalah untuk mengepam darah, dia tak dapat sebarang oksigen ataupun nutrients daripada darah di dalam ruangnya. Maksudnya, they don't get any blood from the chamber. The vessel that supplies the heart is this vessel on the surface, and the name is called coronary artery. So this is what we call the coronary artery. So this coronary artery, they can become blocked due to two main reasons. First reason, you can see, is this yellow color thing. This is normally what we call the plaque. Plaque is due to atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis. In bahasa Melayu is atherosclerosis. Yang kami belajar minggu lepas, if you remember, when we talk about how we approach balanced diet, ingat tak minggu lepas? In the lipid part, we talk about atherosclerosis. So this is the atherosclerosis. Maksudnya, you punya lipid, dia sudah jadikan kita punya salur darah, jadikan dia sempit. Okay, this is one reason why it causes plaque. So first reason. Second reason is sometimes blood clotting can happen inside. So what do we call this? This is something I will teach you later. It's called thrombosis. Okay, so tak kisah atherosclerosis ataupun thrombosis akan berlaku, tapi the key word is dia kena berlaku di artery coronary. Artery coronary, which is these surface vessels of the heart. Faham tak? So what's the cause of myocardial infarction? Apakah yang jadi? So this thing, in layman term, kita panggil dia sebagai serangan jantung. Heart attack. Okay, so what is the cause of heart attack? Of course, it can be your diet lah. Betul tak? High lipid diet, unbalanced diet, alcohol, smoking, all those are the common risk factor lah. So what's the effect? The effect is, apabila you ada benda yang block the blood flow, so the blood flow tak boleh jalan. So the blood tak boleh jalan, your oxygen and the nutrients tak sampai ke otot cardium. So your otot cardium tak boleh membuat respirasi cell, and they will die lah. Sebab dia tak ada tenaga. No energy. Can genetic factor increase the risk of myocardial infarction? The answer is yes. If your family members have heart attack, your chance will be higher. Okay, so what kind of table questions can they ask you from here? Apa lagi? Soalan yang mereka boleh tanya. Apa lagi? Is the treatment. This question pernah keluar before. If you a student who actively do trial question, you know they have asked before, which is these two process. Satu is what we call as a pintasan graft ataupun bypass graft. So, okay, let me explain to you. These two are different procedure. Procedure satu, ini commonly we just call it as bypass. Okay, in layman term, dia panggil dia sebagai bypass. Okay, so bypass, dia punya concept actually sangat senang. What we are doing is, okay, let's say this part is blocked. Let's say this part is already blocked. This one blocked. This part blocked already. Okay, so it's too difficult for us to open it up. So what we do is we use a graft. So where we get this graft? Normally we get it from your leg. We get from your vein of the leg. We get from the leg normally. We harvest it from the leg. Then we harvest the vein from the leg and then we put it over here. The purpose is to bypass the block part to supply the oxygen and nutrients to the coronary artery at the end so that it can supply the cardiac muscle. So this is what we call as a bypass. So bypass, as the word suggests, what it means is that there ada satu blockage which can be due to thrombosis, which can be due to atherosclerosis, tetapi we cannot do this process. This is called angio. We cannot do because it's too difficult to pass through. Maybe it's a very complicated thrombosis, or very complicated atherosclerosis. Okay, so we harvest a graft from your leg and then we put back over your heart. We bypass the block part to supply oxygen and nutrients to the muscle. Tu je. Cakap senang, but in reality it's not. Okay, so Qing Ling and Sachip asked why do we use vein to do the graft? Number one, when you use a vein, we harvest a vein. Your vein can sort of like forms collateral, meaning you won't have much effect. Artery supplies oxygenated to supplies oxygenated blood to your effector or your organ. If you harvest an artery, then your leg is dead now. Have you ever thought of that? If you use artery, what will happen? That means your oxygen cannot reach your leg, so you save your heart, but you not save your leg. So you cut your leg for your heart. So you don't use artery, you use vein. Because artery supplies oxygenated blood to your leg one. Understand? Okay. But one interesting thing is that when you harvest the vein from the leg, the vein got waft or not? The vein got waft or not? Yes. So the way you put it must be proper. Because if you put it wrongly, the graft, then the blood cannot flow down also. It's like you block it already. So the way you put it has to be, follow the direction to the muscle. This is just some interesting thing I want to share with you. Alright. So this one is what we do commonly nowadays. Okay, for people who have myocardial infarction, we call this as angioplasty. Okay, angioplasty. In bahasa Melayu also it's called angioplasty. Just replace the Y with I. So what happens is that you have a blockage right now. So during the process senang saja, we will masukkan what we call as a stent. In bahasa Melayu also it's called stent. S-T-E-N-T. Stent is actually this. We masuk catheter dulu. This is called catheter. Catheter. Basically, a catheter is like a long tube we insert from your hand, we go in, okay? So we want to sort of like open up the vessel, so we will inflate a balloon. So this is step 2, a balloon. But you cannot put a balloon inside, because if you put a balloon inside, your blood is still blocking inside. So what we need to do is, after we inflate the balloon, we have to place what we call as a stand. So this is a stand. Stand is like a net. It prevents your blood vessel from closing back again. So the step, actually, if you want to talk about it, it's just 3 steps. Step 1, you kena masukkan satu catheter sampai to the coronary artery. Lepas tu, you kena inflate the balloon to open up the vessel. Then step number 3, you kena letak satu stand dekat dalam, which prevent them from closing back. This is angioplasty, the one that we do usually nowadays as a first-line treatment for heart attack. Any questions? So dalam peperiksaan, we are not expecting you to be a cardiologist. So you just have to explain something very simple way to answer the concept, very simple sentence to explain about it. Don't put blanks or anything like that. So in my exercise, I share with you both types of questions. And later, of course, I'll give you the answers of that. Soalan? This is everything on the heart that you know. Any questions? The cholesterol is still there. You're not sucking up the cholesterol. Questions? Soalan, faster. This is part 1. Blood circulatory system. We're done already for human. Yes. The cholesterol is pushed. Can MI happen again at the same place? Of course can. That is even more complicated. Stent thrombosis can happen. Why not? But that's not within your level. Okay, Paris asks, what's the difference between angina and MI? Okay, what's the difference between angina and MI? Angina is just chest pain. Chest pain. Dia depends on how much the vessel is blocked. If the vessel is blocked 100% ataupun 90% and above, then you might get MI. The cell die. Tapi kalau let's say they block about 60%, okay, that means you still have blood flow, but the blood flow is reduced. So your heart don't die, but they will feel strain. And when you exercise, you will get the pain. That is called angina. Okay? Sakit dada lah. In other words, angina maksudnya sakit dada. Tu je. Okay, so we finish up the first part already. Can So I wonder how many death cases you see every day. Not every day have death lah. No worries. But yesterday I on call, got people die lah. Definitely people die. In this world is like that one. People live, people die one lah. Quite not. It's common. It's very common. That's why I appreciate your life lah. Appreciate your life. Okay. Very rarely. What do you mean very rarely? Okay, part 1. Can I consider it done? Any other questions? And you want to ask me burning questions? Anything you want to ask me before I move on to the next part, which also a lot of students might have problems. If you're okay, can you please write okay in the chat box? Let me know so that I can move on to the next part. You have to ask me questions. Okay. Like I said, my job is to consolidate the most important part of the chapter and share with you within 2 hours. Okay, and that's what I can offer to you. The most important thing. All right, and I spend a lot of time to create the slides and all that. A lot of time. I spend more time creating notes for you all than I study for myself. Seriously. Okay, so hopefully you all can have the effect of getting a good result in your SPM. Okay, done. So now we move on to part 2. Okay, blood clotting. So for part 2, which is blood clotting, how many types of questions can they come out in exam? Do you know? You should know already. You should know how many types of questions can they come out in exam. Blood clotting. How many types of questions can they come out in exam? You all know? 3 types. Okay, which 3 types? First one is importance. Why we need to do blood clotting is important in exam. Number 2 is the process. Okay, and number 3 definitely is the disease regarding blood clotting. So these are the 3 types of questions only they will ask you. So it's really something that you know already. They'll come out these 3 things. Nothing much. Okay, so we go on to the first one, which is the importance. Okay, so you can see from this picture, you only do blood clotting ataupun pembekuan darah apabila ada luka, and the luka normally damage your blood vessel. So when you damage your blood vessel, the blood will all come out, and there's a chance for the pathogens to go in. So the first reason why we want to do blood clotting is definitely we want to seal the wound. We want to seal the wound. Okay, so that we can reduce blood loss, okay, and we can reduce the chance for the pathogens to go in. So remember, this is the first most important thing you must remember. You want to prevent the blood to come out, and you want to prevent the pathogen from coming in. And that's why it is considered as a barisan pertahanan badan, which is your barisan pertama. This is your barisan pertama. Are you clear? Okay? Alright, after this, you need to understand something even more in higher level. In higher level, you need to understand that, especially when you're St. John, I told you before in my normal lesson, we talk about something called ABC. Okay, we talk about resuscitation. ABC means you have to look at the airway, the breathing, and the circulation of the person. So this is the most important first aid. When you want to do first aid, you need to know this concept, ABC. Airway, breathing, and circulation. Okay? Airway, breathing, circulation. So now about circulation. This is regarding circulation. So when you got a bleed, the blood keeps going out. Do you think you can maintain your circulation? Peredaran darah? No. So the next point I would like to say is, it maintains your circulation. What will happen if the blood is keep losing? What will happen if the blood is keep losing? At one point, your blood pressure will start to drop. When your blood pressure starts to drop, you will get what we call as a shock. So another reason why we want to do blood clotting is because we want to maintain normal blood pressure. So these two, I would say, is quite related because blood pressure is part of the measurement in circulation. Okay, so all in all, the reason why we want to do blood clotting got 4. So these are 4 reasons. Prevents excessive bleeding, prevents the entry of pathogens, maintain normal blood pressure, which is a component of the ABC of first aid, which is circulation. So this is the reason why we need to do blood clotting. Are you okay? So this is also one of the questions in my essay. Okay, you can later you can copy down in one of my essay questions. Okay, in the notes I follow the sequence. You can copy back later. So next one is the concept of process. This is the concept yang sangat penting students mesti kena tahu lah. So your textbook they never emphasize it, but you need to understand. Sebenarnya dalam blood clotting dia ada dua proses. Proses pertama, you don't have to write in your exam and tell you only, it's called hemostasis. Hemostasis. Maksudnya, dia punya main purpose is to form what we call as a platelet plug. Platelet plug. So for example sekarang, dekat sini dia sudah ada luka. Okay, so over the vessel, this is the luka, so the blood will come out, isn't it? So your step one, who is the playmaker will be your platelet. Your first main character will be your platelet. So your platelet, dia akan mengumpal. The word we use in bahasa Melayu is mengumpal. In bahasa Melayu, in bahasa English, we will say they will accumulate, okay, at the site of the wound. Can you see this pink color is for platelet lah? Right? Then they will start to release what we call as clotting factors. All these small pink color things, they will start to release all these clotting factors. Clotting factors is to it's like a glue. They make them stick even more harder. Then this is what we call as a platelet plug. Masalahnya, platelet plug ni dia tak kuat. It's just like an ear plug. If you put an ear plug, you think the ear plug is very strong. You shake your head a bit also, the ear plug come out already. So this platelet plug dia tak kuat. So how? When it's not strong, you need to form a net to net it. So if I want to put ear plug, I think it's keluar very easily. I can put a cellophane tape and tape over my ear. So that cellophane tape is called fibrin. This fibrin, which is netting this platelet plug up. This is step 2. Kita panggil dia sebagai cascade pembekuan or coagulation cascade. Sebab dia adalah satu event menyebabkan satu event. Later I'll show you what it means. So you need to remember. Okay, I cut a long story short lah. You just have to remember when we do blood clotting, there are 2 steps. The first step is to do platelet plug. Step 1, mesti ada step 1 dulu. Then only we do step 2. And for step 2, the main purpose is to form fibrin. Apakah fibrin? Fibrin is a fiber that is like a mesh, is like a network. They seal the wound, seal the platelet plug, so that it becomes more firm. So ada 2 step. Step 1, form platelet plug. Step 2, form fibrin. Itu je, you kena ingat. So how are we going to go around with it? I'll show you the mind map. So first of all, I'll show you the first 3 steps. Like I said just now, first, so number 1, your platelets definitely need to come at the wound. Dia akan mengumpal di luka, betul tak? So lepas tu dia akan release clotting factors. Clotting factors ini dia adalah proteins. Okay, dia ada dua importance. One is like they make the platelets stick more firmly. Number 2, they can help to trigger the process number 2, which is the process to form fibrin. So lepas tu we call that as a platelet plug is formed. So this one sebenarnya is step 1. Remember, just now our step 1. Okay, but in your syllabus they focus more on step 2, which I think is not very correct because step 2 is cannot happen if you don't have step 1. Alright, so in step 2 you have to remember. What are the things that we have from step 1? Number 1, you have your platelets, which is the platelet plug lah. Number 2, you have damaged cell. Damaged cell here, maksudnya your blood vessel that is wounded. Okay, that is the damaged cells. The collagen and all that is damaged cells. And number 3 is your clotting factors, faktor pembeku. So these are the 3 things that we have from the first step. Remember these 3 things? So together they will form an activator. Nama dia thrombokinase. Thrombokinase. So thrombokinase ni, I want you all to remember. I told you every word in biology got meaning. Kinase. Okay, ACE is enzyme lah. Definitely maksudnya enzyme. Also it's an enzyme. Okay, enzyme. Enzyme is for catalysis. Okay, kind comes from the word kinetic energy. Okay, kinetic energy. I want you to tell me if you have kinetic energy, meaning you are active or you are very passive. Active or passive? Active. So the word kinetic here, you think of the word active. Okay, thrombo comes from the component which is thrombin. So this enzyme already tell you what it does. It's an enzyme that activates thrombin. This is called thrombokinase. Okay, so this thrombokinase, the function is to catalyze the conversion of prothrombin. Remember what is prothrombin? What is prothrombin? Apa tu prothrombin? What is this? It's a plasma protein. Remember just now in the very first slide we talked about it? It's a PP. It's a plasma protein. So it will activate your prothrombin to thrombin. Tapi you kena ingat sampai bila-bila, you want to do this process, you mesti kena ada 2 nutrients. 1 vitamin, 1 mineral. Okay? So how I teach my student? Blood clotting kan. So for the mineral, C, think of calcium ion. Okay? For vitamin, this one, we have to pusing it a bit. Think of the word clotting. Okay? So K is vitamin K. Okay? Not vitamin C. Because I think C is vitamin C. No. So you got vitamin K. K, think of the word clot. Okay? And then calcium ion. So what are these? Are these enzymes? These vitamin K and calcium ions, are they enzymes? They are what? Very good, everyone. They are core factors. Kalau you pernah study what I told you in chapter 4 sebelum ni, chapter 5, enzyme adalah kawan. Kawan adalah core enzyme atau core factor. So this is a core factor. This is the enzyme. Okay? Lepas tu, your thrombin is also another enzyme. Thrombin is another enzyme. Dia adalah enzyme. Okay? So it will catalyze the conversion of fibrinogen jadi fibrin. Whenever you see the word nogen, I told you before, remember last week? What's the example they talked about last week? Pepsinogen. Ingat tak? The one that is released by what cell? What cell releases pepsinogen? Chief cell. Remember? So chief cell releases pepsinogen. I told you pepsinogen is nogen means what? Whenever in biology, nogen means what? Inactive. So fibrinogen, they are inactive, which is also another plasma protein, so they will convert them into fibrin. Are you happy right now? When you see the word fibrin, are you happy? Are you happy? Yes. Why happy? Because this is the one that I show you in the picture just now that needs to form a meshwork, satu jaringan that will trap the red blood cell and seal the wound. Then this is your blood clotting. So actually, if you think about it, is it really difficult? This whole process. It's not. All you have to do is to put your plasma protein in the right place. Students always come and tell me that it's very tough. Which first part? Which part? This one is difficult for you to remember. You don't scare me. Stick to the wound, release clotting factor, become a platelet plug. That is difficult. Huh? this one also is in your notes. I got provide this in your notes. You can see in your notes. Ada tak? Dalam nota, ada tak? Got right? In the notes, you should see this. I don't know which page lah. Okay, you copy lah. Tak kisah bahasa Melayu ataupun bahasa English. Same. Can I go on to the next part? Can you follow? You guys are not the first time listener. If you're Form 4, I will show you slowly how we see. That's the difference between Form 4 lesson and Form 5. Form 5, you suppose you know already one. Okay, so I'll go fast. We don't build foundation in intensive class. Diseases, senang. Okay, diseases, senang. Kenapa senang? Sebab dia ada dua sahaja. One is you don't have a bleeding, tapi dia pergi clot darah. No bleed, tapi dia clot. Another one is you got bleed but cannot clot. Faham ke? You got bleed tapi cannot clot. Another one is you got no bleed but clot. So we look at the first one first, which is your hemophilia. Okay, I want to see your basic. Tell me what disease is hemophilia? Apa tu hemophilia? What disease is it? I mean, like, what disease is it? It's a very good. It's a sex-linked disease. Penyakit rangkai seks. So if you don't know what is sex-linked disease, we will learn about this in Form 5, chapter 12. Chapter 11. We'll talk about this again. What is a sex-linked disease? Okay. So sex-linked disease, which gender affects more? Kalau dia ada penyakit rangkai seks, which gender affects more? The male. The male. Okay. So next, you have to remember in hemophilia, okay, the problem is you lack of clotting factors. Okay, in hemophilia, isu dia adalah kekurangan clotting factors. Kurang faktor pembeku. Which factor? Is factor 8 or 9 lah. So we got hemophilia A and hemophilia B, but that's not very important. So blood clotting can happen lah. So maksudnya the person will experience excessive bleeding. So came back question. So kalau ada seseorang hemophilia dia sekarang tengah bleed, what can you do? So ada seorang hemophilia sekarang dia tengah berdarah. So what can you do? Dia dalam badan dia tak ada faktor pembeku. So what you want to do? Wrap the wound, is it enough? You wrap the wound, they will still continue to bleed. So what you want to do? You have to buat pemindahan faktor pembeku. Meaning you need to give them whatever they lack of. What they lack of? They lack of this. So the thing you have to give them is the clotting factor. You have to give them clotting factor. Kalau tak, dia tak akan clot the blood. You boleh tekan sampai besok pun dia tak akan clot. And number 2, orang itu dia sudah berdarah, lost blood already. So you might need to consider to do pemindahan darah or blood transfusion just to replace the blood loss lah. And then orang hemophilia dia kena berhati-hati. Okay, we will study more in chapter 11 from 5 later. If a female has hemophilia, would they die if menstruation occur? Very rare, female have hemophilia. You want a female to have hemophilia, your father must be a hemophilia, and your mother must be at least a carrier. So it's very, very rare. We almost never see before. Okay? And we can give them clotting factors prophylactically, inject to them. Okay? So the next issue is thrombosis. Just now I've already talked about this when we talk about myocardial infarction. Thrombosis basically is your vessel is not broken, tetapi your blood starts to clot inside. Okay? So thrombosis ni, what happens is that it will block the vessel. So whatever blood that's supposed to reach the organ cannot reach. That's the problem of thrombosis. Another thing you must remember is the word embolism. Embolism. Embolism is the second picture here in this yellow arrow, where you have part of the blood clot that dislodged out. Embolism is actually sometimes it can be even more dangerous than thrombosis. Sebab embola ni, dia boleh pergi mana-mana. Because it's small, isn't it? It can go to a lot of places. When they start at whatever organ punya vessel, then organ tu akan tak berfungsi lah. Sebab dia tak dapat oksigen dengan glucose. Questions? You want to have embolism, you must have thrombosis first. You cannot have embolism straight away. Embolism, by definition, is the dislodge of the blood clot. This is embolism. This is embolism. This is thrombosis. Question? Yeah, for thrombosis, the blood clot is at one place. Embolism, the blood clot part of it is dislodged. Any more questions? Come on. Soalan. No? Okay. So how to know someone got thrombosis? They will get what we call as a target organ damage lah. Tempat mana yang ada thrombosis, dia akan mati kalau dia sudah completely blocked. So normally we will get like myocardial infarction. Kalau dia berlaku dalam otak, what happen? If thrombosis happen in the artery, in the otak, what happen? Stroke lah. So you tak akan tahu dia ada thrombosis. Tapi you akan tahu apabila organ tu sudah mati. Then you get the symptom lah. Macam stroke punya symptom, heart attack punya symptom. Kalau dia berlaku dekat kaki, you can get acute limb ischemia punya symptom. So kaki jadi hitam and things like that lah. Alright? So the question is actually, what can cause thrombosis? What can cause thrombosis? So kenapa darah tu tiba-tiba dia clot sendiri? That should be a question, isn't it? Why the clot suddenly happen? So biasanya, these clots berlaku because of clotting factor. No, why you suddenly have a clot? Why you have a clot there? Restricted blood flow? No, restricted blood flow is the complication of thrombosis. But how come suddenly thrombosis happen? Because of less vessel. You really think vessel so important, man? Vessel is not important. Not important. They are, okay, very good. There are a few reasons. Okay? Reason number 1, okay, we have what we call as a Virchow's triad. This is something even more advanced. These are theories. Kenapa thrombosis berlaku? Satu is when you have what we call as endothelial injury. You have to remember, kita punya artery, tadi we have learned already our artery. The wall is very thick one, am I right? Artery, the wall is very thick. So kalau you ada injury, dekat dia punya surface dalam sahaja, only the inner surface, not the whole vessel. Sepatutnya when you have a bleed, the whole vessel is broken, isn't it? So the darah come out. But you only have injury over the surface. Sometimes your body blood clotting will happen sebab dia ingat dia sudah berdarah. So it's called vessel injury. Tapi dia bukan pecah sepenuhnya. So what can cause vessel injury? Things like smoking. You know, all this insult in the blood, they can cause your vessels to become injured. Okay? So that's one. Number two is when your blood flows very slow. When your blood flows very slow, your blood clotting also will tend to happen. So this would happen mostly in the vein or artery. This problem, there are slow blood flow, very happening normally in the vein or in the artery. This is logic. It can come in exam, vein or artery. Vein, isn't it? It doesn't happen in the artery. Kenapa? Sebab artery dapat pressure dari jantung, so it's very fast one. So this will only happen in the vein. That's why we got something called DVT. Apa DVT? Deep vein thrombosis. Yang berlaku dekat mana? Kaki. Deep vein thrombosis. Meaning, in your leg, your vein will have a clot inside. Faham? What will happen? Kenapa dia berlaku? Most of the time is because the person is immobilized ataupun is bedridden. Orang tu dia tak jalan. Sebab, how can the blood goes up from the vein? Walaupun dia punya pressure is so low. Why? How the blood will go up? It needs your muscle to contract. So when, our skeletal muscles, okay, when our skeletal muscles contract, they will have to, squeeze the vein punya blood, so they will go up. So when the person is not moving, the skeletal muscles are not contracting, so the blood will just start there. Then it trigger blood clotting, and then they have a clot over the leg. And the clot can get embolized. When they get embolized, it's even more dangerous. Because they can travel from the vena cava, from the leg vein, they go to the vena cava, from the vena cava, they go into the right atrium, right ventricle, they go to pulmonary artery, then after that, they stuck in the lungs. Pulmonary embolism, PE. Dangerous complication. Sadhana asked, why the vein? Can anyone tell why thrombosis happens in the vein for the second factor? So actually, the blood vessel is very fast. The blood flows fast in artery. Vein is low pressure, flow very slow, the blood. The third one is basically when you have factors that cause hypercoagulability. So some of the factors that cause you to have clot more easily. Okay, for example, pregnancy, for example, certain medications you take like oral contraceptive pills, or for example, like cancer, those are some conditions that can cause your blood to become more pekat and they tend to clot easily. Okay, so this is Child's trial. I mean, it's not in your syllabus, but if you go into higher level, that's something that you must know, right? So your textbook wrote something that is very vague, and that is actually Child's trial in a very simple term. Questions? No questions? Okay. Blood of diabetic patient does not clot. What do you mean? Why the blood of the diabetic patient does not clot? Kenapa? Right? So part 2 is lymphatics. I mean, part 3 is lymphatic system. Sepatutnya, actually part 3 should be blood groups. Tapi, I don't want to teach you blood group at this level sebab blood group, dia actually ada overlap dengan form 5. So I think it's better for us to look at blood group apabila kami belajar the IA, IB and all that time. It's easier. So we don't have to study the same thing 2 times. So I skip blood group, I go to part 3 lymphatic system. But now we have another 20 minutes left. I don't think we have enough time to go through the whole lymphatic system. So why not we just go to part 4 straight away? Part 3, I'll leave it next week together with chapter 11, which is immune system. Okay? So part 3, we leave it first. Okay, this one you can see all this. Okay, so we go to part 4. So part 4 is actually, I want you to go back to your page 3 or page 4 of my mind map though. It's over the other end of the mind map. Okay, so we talk about the type of blood circulatory system, Journey's system peredaran darah. Okay, so this question is also very famous, come up in exam. I don't know if you all see before or not. Have you all seen before this question in exam? The type of blood is very common, they like to ask. So you must know this question, if you come out in exam, is very easy. It's very easy because there's only one way they can ask you the question. I'll tell you what is that. Okay, but before we continue, you must first know how we separate the blood circulatory system dulu. The first one is open or close. So what's the meaning of open? Open, maksudnya, okay, your blood, so-called, actually there's no blood line. This is actually insect, serangga, okay? So there's no blood. The so-called blood is hemolymph. In Bahasa Melayu is hemolympha, okay? So this hemolymph, use another color lah. Orange color is too, hemolymph, okay, flows within body cavity, okay? I just translate the English into Bahasa Melayu a bit. Hemolympha mengalir di dalam rongga badan, okay? Your body cavity is rongga badan. Okay, so what it means is that, okay, to make this complicated sentence into simple way means dia tak ada blood vessel. Dia ada blood vessel, tapi blood vessel dia tak connect. So dia punya darah, so-called darah, straight away flow into the body cavity. Faham? Okay, so that is called open. That's why it's called open. Dia punya hemolymph tu dia tak, bukan dalam salur darah. Whereas closed circulatory system, maksudnya the blood flows in blood vessel. Darah mengalir di dalam salur darah. Simple. If there is blood vessel, the blood is inside, that is closed. The word close comes from enclosed. Tertutup lah darah. Okay, so the closed circulatory system, we can further divide it into 2. Whether you are single ataupun double. What's the meaning of single or double? Single, maksudnya your blood, okay, flows through the heart once. Tunggal, okay, in a complete circulation. I translate in Bahasa Melayu, simple only. Darah mengalir ke jantung sekali dalam satu peredaran yang lengkap. So your blood will only flow through your heart once in a complete circulation. That's the meaning of single. Darah mengalir ke jantung sekali dalam satu peredaran yang lengkap. That's the meaning of tunggal. Okay? Whereas in double means the blood flows through the heart twice. The word is twice in a complete circulation. Maksudnya, darah mengalir ke jantung 2 kali dalam satu peredaran yang lengkap. That is tanda 2. So, for your single circulation, the organism is fish, ikan. Untuk double, we can further divide it into 2. We have complete dengan incomplete. The meaning is very easy. Dalam complete, kenapa dia panggil complete? Sebab dia punya darah beroksigen and darah terdioksigen tidak bercampur. There is no mixing. No mixing, okay, of oxygenated and also deoxygenated blood. So maksudnya, darah beroksigen dan darah terdeoksigen tidak bercampur. That is your complete. Incomplete means there is mixing, okay, of your oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So dia ada campuran darah beroksigen dengan darah terdeoksigen. And this is human, manusia. This is amphibian. Ataupun in bahasa Melayu, amphibia. How do we use this system? Let me frame it up. Okay, so here we divide into two. Okay, here we divide into two. Okay, here we divide into two. Okay, how we frame it up? If you are using English, we will look from down up. For example, if right now the question is asking you on the fish, I talk about English first. If you ask about fish, so your answer will be single closed circulatory system. So in English, you go from down up. If they ask you what's the name of the insect circulatory system, then it will be open circulatory system. If they ask you about what's the one for human, human is complete double closed circulatory system. If amphibian, incomplete double closed circulatory system. So for English, you go from down up. Tapi kalau you belajar dalam bahasa Melayu, you go from up down. Maksudnya, kalau saya tanya pasal ikan, your journeys will be sistem peredaran tertutup tunggal. Itu saja. That is for your fish. Okay, kalau untuk manusia, that it will be sistem peredaran darah tertutup ganda dua lengkap. So in Malay, you go from up down. The word. Are you clear? Or still blur? Are you clear or still blur? Okay, boleh ya? Clear. This is very important. I tell you, this is very important. Okay. So I just show you individually how their circulatory system look like. Okay. Basically, for the insect, there are a few things you need to know. Number one is that they have many heart. Dia ada banyak jantung. It's not just one or two. There are a lot. They form this one called tubular heart. Sebab dia punya jantung macam satu tube. Dia ada banyak. These are all the hearts. So dia ada banyak jantung. Banyak jantung. A lot of hearts. Okay. Tapi kalau you tengok dia punya vessel tu, okay, dia punya vessel tak connect one. You see, this is the vessel. Zoom in, this is the vessel. They don't connect. So when the heart contract, dia punya so-called hemolymph. In bahasa Melayu is hemolympha. Okay. Hemolympha tu dia terus masuk ke. This is what we call hemosil. If you study in English, okay, we call this body space as hemosil. Hemosil. Okay, in bahasa Melayu also is hemocell. H-E-M-O-S-E-L. Hemocell. Okay, that is the rongga badan of the insect. Okay, the space is called hemocell. The fluid is called hemolymph. If you ask me what is so important thing that you must know for the insect is that dia punya hemolymph ni tak ada apa. Can anyone tell me the hemolymph of the insect tak ada red blood cell. Okay, most importantly is they don't carry gases. Dia tak ada oxygen ataupun carbon dioksida dalam hemolymph. Or you can say they don't have red blood cell also. I would agree lah. Kenapa? Sebab dalam bab 8 we already learn about system trachea or tracheal system. In which tracheal system, dalam dia punya spiracle ke bawah sini, dia punya oksigen terus masuk ke setiap sel badan. Straight away go inside to the cell already. And the CO2 straight away come up, so they don't have to go through blood. So the hemolymph never do pertukaran gas or gaseous exchange. They never do gaseous exchange. What they are doing is only chemical exchange. Or we say pertukaran kimia. Meaning, their only function is to give nutrients to the cells and to carry waste products away. Itu je. So dia tak buat pertukaran gas dalam hemolymph. Kena ingatlah benda ni yang penting je. Itu je. Okay, again, what's the name of the circulatory system of insect? Open circulatory system. In bahasa Melayu, sistem peredaran terbuka. Okay, so next one we have a look at your this what organism is this? I ask you first lah. Before I tell you what organism is this is the fish. Ikan ni. Okay, the fish. So from here, there are a few things that I must mention to you. You don't have to describe how the blood flow. Have you ever encountered a question that asks you, can you please describe how the blood flow? No one will ask you that. No one will ask you that, but you need to recognize the shape. Okay, you need to recognize the shape. This is what we call as a single circulatory system. Sistem peredaran tunggal. Maksudnya dia hanya akan flow through the heart once in the circulation. Okay. What is another important thing that you must know? I want to see whether you all actually know what important. What's the important thing that you must know over here? Most important thing I would say. Most important thing that you must know is what? Most important thing is what? What's the most important thing? Direction. No. Yes, Chewbacca, very good. It's the heart chamber. You must know how many heart chambers. This is important. You know, they always ask heart chamber. So for the fish, berapa ruang dia ada? Ruang chamber. There are two chambers. Two chambers. So maksudnya dia ada satu atrium, satu ventricle. Okay, if you look at this picture, which one is atrium, which one is ventricle? Is this atrium or ventricle? This one, down there one. Is this atrium or ventricle? Is this atrium or ventricle? Down here, this one. So you all don't understand basics. Down here, this one is atrium. Up here, this one is ventricle. Why? Come back to basic. Apakah fungsi atrium sebenarnya? So talk about atrium. What's function of atrium? Atrium is to receive blood or is to pump blood? Answer me. Receive or to pump? Receive. Dia punya fungsi adalah untuk menerima darah. So you can see the direction of the blood flow. The blood will go in the heart from here. So can this be ventricle? It must be atrium. Dia receive dulu. Lepas tu baru dia pergi ke ventricle. The function is to pump blood. Faham tak? Next question, just want to ask you to see whether you actually understand blood circulation system or not. Okay, what vessel is this? Artery or vein? This vessel? Artery ke vein? Benda ni. Artery or vein? This blood is deoxygenated lah. You can see this one is deoxygenated, so is it artery or vein? Still is artery. Kenapa? Sebab direction of this vessel is to bring the blood away from the heart, so it's an artery. So, does it mean that artery must carry oxygenated blood? No. Once again, the fish prove you no. So this is deoxygenated blood, darah terdeoksigen. So dia pergi ke insang. This is gills, insang. In bahasa Melayu, insang. Apa yang berlaku dekat insang? Pertukaran gas, gaseous exchange. So the blood becomes oxygenated Then they go to your systemic. This is your body organs. No, this is not pulmonary artery. You don't have to know the name of the artery. Papaya, not in your syllabus. You just know that this is artery can already. So this vessel, is it a vein or an artery? This one over here, is it a vein or artery? This one must be a vein. It's about they carry blood towards the heart. But you don't have to know what vein is it. This is not pulmonary. It's about the word pulmonary means lungs. The fish don't have lungs, so you cannot say this pulmonary. You understand what I say, guys? Are you okay? So kalau you nak describe pun, I don't think it's difficult to describe. Tapi yang paling penting is the heart. Paling penting is the heart. Okay? Next. So this one on your left side is the amphibian. Number one, paling penting is the heart. So the heart got how many chambers for amphibian? Berapa ruang yang dia ada? 3. So 3 chambers. Maksudnya berapa atria, berapa ventricle? Berapa atria? 2. Berapa ventricle? 1. Why is there only one ventricle? What is missing here in the middle is the septum. So one important thing for amphibian heart is that dia tak ada septum. Kalau you berbanding dengan manusia, dia tak ada septum. No septum in the middle here. Okay? That's why there is mixing of the oxygenated blood and oxygenated blood. Okay? So this is single circulation or double circulation? Is this single or is this double circulation? Double. Kenapa? Because dalam satu peredaran lengkap in a complete circulation, the blood flows through the heart how many times? Twice. Blood flows through the heart twice in a complete circulation. So since you say this is a double circulation, peredaran, sistem peredaran ganda dua, you must know dia punya nama. What's the name of the circulation? So this one, do you think it's only going to the lung? Kalau for amphibian, dia ada berapa respiratory surface? We study in chapter 8. How many respiratory surface? They have 2. Lung and also the skin. Am I right? So what circulation do we call this? Very good. It's called pulmocutaneous circulation. I repeat. Pulmocutaneous circulation. So in bahasa Melayu, it's called sistem peredaran pulmocutaneous. Change the C to K. Okay, if you don't understand what does it mean, I repeat again. Pulmo means what? Which part of your body is pulmo? Lung. Cutaneous is skin. That's why kalau masih ingat, kita ada satu benda nama dia subcutaneous, below your skin, sekat. So this is pulmocutaneous circulation. This one down here that goes to all your body cells, nama dia adalah sistem peredaran systemic ataupun systemic circulation. Systemic circulation yang bawah sini. So this is the name of the double circulatory system for amphibian. Okay? So dia lebih kurang macam manusia je, lebih kurang macam manusia. Tapi dalam peperiksaan, you mesti sangat-sangat awas, especially over the heart. Tengok betul-betul dia ada septum ke tak. Because dia lebih kurang sama macam manusia dia. It's almost the same. So, if you look at human, okay, how many chambers you have? 4. 4 chambers. Maksudnya, 2 atria, 2 ventricle. Is it a double circulation? Yes, it's also a double circulation. So whenever you have a double circulation, do you have to name the circulation? Yes. Up here, this one, going to your lungs, what do we call this circulation? Pulmonary circulation. So in bahasa Melayu, sistem peredaran pulmonary. Just change the Y to I. Lepas tu, yang bawah sini, this one is sistem peredaran systemic. Sama macam kita punya amphibian. So I talk a lot right now. Right? But how will exam ask you? You must know. Tell me. Macam mana peperiksaan? Soalan peperiksaan tanya. Anyone? Yes, it's compared. Very good. That means you all actually know. Have you seen before? They like to ask you to bandingkan ataupun compare the blood circulatory system of the amphibian. Very common. This is the only way they will ask. Can this come out in essay? Boleh tak soalan ini keluar dalam essay? Can. The answer is can. But how you want to have a format to answer the question? Then you have to follow my DSA, Dr. Stephen algorithm to answer this type of question. So first of all, I would always tell my student to look at the, okay, for example, I ask you, compare between, let's say, amphibian versus human. Okay, so how would you do that? I will suggest you to think of the chart first. To think of the chart. Yang tadi kita buat the first slide of this part of the chart, which is, number 1, you need to tell the examiner, is this open or closed? Open or closed? Terbuka ataupun tertutup? So, for amphibian and human, both are closed. So, dia sudah jadi persamaan or similarity. When you do comparison, don't just do difference. This is very dangerous. Comparison, kalau dia cakap banding, you mesti kena buat similarity dengan difference. Dua-dua kena buat. So, in this case, my first similarity will be, both amphibian and humans have closed circulatory system. Satu markah. How do you get a second mark? You mesti kena define lah. Apakah maksud dia? So, what's the meaning? What's the nature? It's closed, right? So, what's the meaning? Meaning, dia punya darah mengalir di dalam saluran darah. Blood is flowing within blood vessels. Second, 2 marks. Number 2, you have to ask yourself, okay, is this single or is it double? So for human versus amphibian, both are double. So once again, we go to your, here, double. Both are double. So what's the next step that you need to do? So you say both are double. So what's the next step you need to do? You need to give definition. Maksudnya, darah mengalir ke jantung 2 kali dalam satu peredaran yang lengkap. But you have to remember, over here, there is a difference. Because we learned just now, amphibian and human, walaupun kedua-dua dia adalah double, but for amphibian, okay, the double is pulmocutaneous versus systemic. But for human is pulmonary dengan systemic circulation, PCC. Pulmocutaneous circulation dengan systemic circulation. But for human is pulmonary circulation dengan systemic circulation. So this is the difference. You can tell over here. Number 3, is it complete or is it incomplete? So this is the difference already, am I right? This is the difference already. So you will say amphibian is what? incomplete, human is complete. Then you can tell the definition. Apa tu complete? Tak ada mixing. Apa tu incomplete? Ada mixing. Then write down number 4, septum. Ada septum ke tak? So, ada septum ke tak? Amphibian tak ada septum, human ada septum. Number 5, heart chamber. Okay, so amphibian berapa heart chamber? 3. Human berapa heart chamber? 4. Meaning, berapa atria? Berapa ventricle? You follow this format and you do your essay, you think you cannot get full mark? 6 marks, 8 marks? You really think you cannot get? This is my algorithm to target this kind of question. Faham ke tak fahami? You understand or not? So if, for example, today they ask you amphibian versus fish, how to do? Amphibian versus fish, how to do? Go back to our formula. Number 1, open or close. Similarity, close, define. Number 2, single or double, difference already. Amphibian is double, tell what's the name of the double security system. Fish is single, so there's no name for it, it's just a single security system. Am I right? Septum, dua tak ada. Correct, that's not for the fish, also dia tak ada septum. So this is a similarity. Heart chamber, fish ada 2, 1 atrium, 1 ventricle. Amphibian ada 3, 2 atrium, 1 ventricle. Septum lah. That's all they're looking for. The main points. Of course, there are some other small points in the answer sheet. Sometimes they'll talk about how the blood flow and all that, but I don't think that one is important, to be really honest. Are you clear, guys, what our lesson today? So today we mainly cover the whole blood circulatory system. A lot we have talked about. Okay, so next week we come back, we talk about lymphatic system, campur dengan bab 11, which is immune system. Okay, are you okay? Boleh ke? Okay, so thank you so much. I'll see you guys again next week. Alright, so bye-bye. Okay, thank you. Alright, thank you so much for your attention.